of people knowing the formula.
Some people think it's actually made out of crab meat.
I know that sounds crazy, but let me explain. Notice how the Krusty Krab is actually shaped the same way as a crab trap. Also, there's evidence in this clip of Mr. Krabs.
So that's what I taste like.
If you guys listen close enough, it said, so that's what I taste like. Maybe that's why Mr. Krabs is always trying to hide the formula.
What if I told you that the year might actually be 1724? In the 1990s, several German historians proposed a radical idea that the Middle Ages in fact didn't exist and we are actually living in the 18th century. In 1582, the Pope introduced the Gregorian calendar. Prior to this, most of the world was using the Julian calendar. The Julian calendar had a leap year every 4 years, in which an extra day was added. Since the solar year is technically a little over 365 days, the Julian calendar gains a day every 128 years. To account for this, when the Gregorian calendar was introduced, they should have shifted the date by 13 days. So here we have two possibilities. A pope had done the math wrong, 300 years in between then and now don't actually exist, and large chunks of history have been fabricated. But the phantom time hypothesis points out that it's way more than just a pope making a simple mistake. It points out the lack of records of big events. Okay, so let's talk about the supposed vampires that live in New Orleans. Locals believe that the city is actually home to real living vampires. During the 1930s, brothers John and Wayne Carter were executed for committing multiple murders. About a dozen bodies were found, drained of their blood, after a young woman managed to escape the brothers' apartment. Sightings of these brothers are reported up until this very day because their bodies mysteriously vanished from the funeral vault. Why am I thinking of Stefan and Damon right now? Now fast forward to 1984, where 9 people were found around the French Quarter area, all with their throats ripped out. Paramedics and first responders were dumbfounded because even though the scene was gory, there was no blood. Also, vampire culture is majorly popular in New Orleans, but that must have stemmed from somewhere. The missing persons and crime rate is incredibly high around the French Quarter area. What if this is something more? Okay, let's talk about the Denver airport. Not only are there many strange and mysterious murals throughout the whole entire airport, they are all very disturbing and seem particularly apocalyptic. Conspiracy theorists claim that these murals depict a series of massed genocide, followed by a time of peace after the earth has been cleansed, likely referring to the survival of the New World Order. This leads to the theory that the airport was built on top of underground bunkers meant to house the elites in case of a global disaster. Also, what's super sketchy is that no one knows where the funding for the airport came from, but we do know that it came in almost $2 billion over budget. The dedication cornerstone mentions the New World Airport Commission as a contributor, an organization that has no record of existing before or since. Whether you believe this theory or not, these murals do depict mass extinction. And why would you have that in an airport? It makes no... Okay, so y'all, just hear me out for a second. So I've been thinking about this for a while now, and I don't know why no one else is talking about it. But does anyone remember back in 2019 when scientists were trying to open a portal to a parallel universe? Their goal was to open up this portal to a reality which was a mirror/alternative reality of our reality. I know, a lot of words. What's crazy to me is that the news of this was literally everywhere, and then boom, at the end of 2019 it was just gone. Now, I'm not saying that these scientists messed up, but I know we can all agree here that nothing has felt right since the end of summer 2019. Like, everything has felt off. Okay, so what if during this experiment they messed up, big time messed up, and they somehow messed up our reality in the process? Or they opened up this portal and then this alternative universe overlapped our universe and screwed up our timeline? 2020 was a disaster, 2021 so far. What if we've entered an alternate reality?
Okay, TikTok, I need you to make this go viral, but I don't really want it to go viral because I'm scared of the comments I'm going to get because I have stumbled across a Mason handbook/textbook. And you're just like, oh my gosh, it doesn't say anything Mason about it. Oh, yes, it does. This is a Masonic textbook. It is a reprint of May 1984, and I'm just like, oh, it's not that old. But it kind of is because that's older than I am, and I'm in my 30s. So I'm just like, you know what? I am going to read this book and debunk all of that shit and conspiracies that they have. about Masons, and what do I find but fucking secret codes in this fucking book? Now, that was my first red flag that I probably should not have this in my possession, because when you read these sentences just by themselves, they do not make any fucking sense. So I know these codes make all of this entire book make sense. That was red flag number 1. Moving on to fucking symbols. I mean, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, what kind of symbols could they talk about? Well, I don't know, Diana. What do you think? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's just the all-seeing fucking eye. Oh, it's not a big deal, right? It gets fucking better. So I'm flipping through the book like, la-di-da-di-da-da-di-da-di-da. Oh, what do I stumble across? It's a fucking pass that entitles you to leave the country. I'm covering up the lodge number because I don't want people fucking coming for me. Because I'm pretty sure this is not supposed to be in my possession. But here I am. My first fucking question about this is, why do you need a pass to leave the country? Second question, what are you leaving the country from? This is, I feel like this just needs to be, I need to put it in a box and bury it and not talk about it. But I'm too fucking nosy. I have to know. So please help me, TikTok.
What's a conspiracy theory that you 1,000% believe in?
Religion was invented to control human beings, and especially women.
What's a conspiracy theory that you 1,000% believe in?
The Titanic didn't sink. Let me explain. This is J.P. Morgan, the builder of the Titanic, but also the builder of the Olympic. Here's a picture of the Titanic for reference in case you live under a rock. Here's a picture of the Olympic for reference. So the theory says that J.P. Morgan used the Olympic and advertised it as the Titanic, or the unsinkable ship, to send thousands of people across the Atlantic Ocean. So I guess the question is, why? Why would he use a boat that's damaged, salvaged, whatever, and advertised it as the unsinkable ship? Like, why would he do that? J.P. Morgan was a very smart man, especially in business. When he sent the Titanic across the Atlantic Ocean, all of his business rivals were on the ship.
I know a lot of you like to go to national parks and forests, but you need to hear this information. It has to do with a conspiracy and cover-up by the national park system. There are hundreds of people that go missing from the national parks under mysterious circumstances. But the federal government and the national park system do not keep track of that number of how many people go missing. But here's the weird part. A lot of these disappearances are insanely similar. These disappearances seem to happen in geographical clusters, often around areas that have a high amount of granite. There is never any evidence of an animal attack. Sometimes clothes are found folded neatly on rocks. Often strange weather anomalies seem to happen immediately after the disappearances, thwarting the efforts of search and rescue teams. Like and follow for more on the missing 411.
So what, we get drunk? So what, we smoke weed?
Still think we don't live in a simulation? Guess again.
If you've done the Gateway Process Experience from CIA.gov and all of those tapes, please stitch this and tell me how it went, because I just did it and it was insane. To be clear, I've only done one tape so far. I'm going to do a tape a day and give updates. But while I was doing it, it was fine, but I didn't get into anything groundbreaking, except I did get into Hemi-Sync for sure. But no visions, no otherworldly experiences until I went to sleep. My dreams were insane. I've lucid dreamt before. This was not that. I had complete awareness of every single one of my senses and complete control over my environment and everybody that was around me, all of it. But even cooler was I was able to tap into a part of my brain that I haven't been able to access for a really long time. In early high school, we used to sing a song that was super catchy and fun in like Spanish class, and I have spent probably the last 9-10 years trying to remember what the heck that song was. And so last night, in my dream, I remembered it, and I said, let me go to Spanish class. So, boom, I'm in Spanish class in high school, singing the song that I forgot for 9 years. I was singing every damn word of it, and now I remember it.